Welcome
Hello.
to the Nikkinoo Show. I am your host, Nikki, and I have an amazing guest tonight that you probably all know, Walter Masterson. Walter, welcome.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. Well, you had quite the amazing, adventurous weekend, which we will talk about. But first, let's hear a little bit about yourself, your platforms, and what people can expect from your content.
Okay, so it might look like I do journalism. No, I'm not a journalist. I am a comedian. So I just do comedy. I go to rallies. I interview people. I think of me like a Sacha Baron Cohen of Stephen Colbert.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, very much reminiscent of Stephen Colbert for sure, because he started off doing what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Very cool. Awesome. So where can people find you? What platforms?
So just Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, just Walter Masterson.
Walter Masterson.
I'm a very simple man to find, unless you're looking for my home address, and that's not that's a little bit more difficult, a little more elbow grease involved in that one.
And I have all of the links to his platforms in the description, so you guys can follow that. So this weekend you were in Dallas, correct? Mm-hmm. Dallas, Texas for
it was called the Patriot Roundup. It's a QAnon conference. It is undeniably it is QAnon. I mean, what's that stupid mug? So I mean, you can get. I mean, these are the bands you got. Well, it says
Digital Soldier. Oh God.
What
does that mean? What's WWG?
Where we go one, we go all.
Oh God. Okay.
You've seen this posted in places.
I have. I've seen the hashtag.
Where we go one, where we go all. It's the symbol for Q. Not the symbol, so that's their motto. So that's yeah. Wow. And this is everyone there is, follows, is QAnon, is, believes, everything you could think of. The election was stolen, cabal, child trafficking. And it's sort of baffling. And what's actually very good to know that people should know, QAnon is big business. They bank. It is very, I mean,
how do they make their money?
On some level, like there's the people, the higher ups, the people that like run these events that are the influence, they've got to realize on some level that Trump is not getting back into office pretty soon. But it is, it is profitable to push that narrative.
Yeah, so and I think it's been like that since the get-go, since he stared the big lie. It was one big grift.
This is a very interesting conference because the people there, the tickets were expensive. I had a media company pay for me to go there.
Nice.
So I reached a deal with Midas Touch.
Oh, I love Midas Touch. Yeah.
So I made a deal with them to go there, and I paid for VIP access, and VIP access is expensive. VIP access to Flynn and Powell, because I said, all right, well, help me pay for VIP access, and I'll troll them, and I'll come up with different things that I can do because I've been to these. Sometimes you don't really get the access you want. I mean, they're not going to sit down for an interview with me. At best you get like 30 seconds with some of them.
Yeah.
So I'd written stuff, comedy. It's something that's like funny if I only have a limited time with them.
That's awesome. And I actually have a clip. I have several clips, but this one you actually interviewed Michael Flynn. So let's go ahead and take a General Flynn.
I mean, he is a general.
He is,
which is more frightening when you watch this video.
Frightening.
You're like, this man was a general.
Yeah. Let's take a look.
General Flynn, I'm making a video from my mother. She can't be here because she has an OnlyFans. So explain to my mom why I don't need to wear a mask.
Why he doesn't need to wear a mask? Well, Mom, I think that he doesn't need to wear a mask because he's probably had a really good mother who made sure that he had really good things to do as a child to become sort of that herd immunity like my mom used to do. She would find the kids around the neighborhood who were sick, and we'd all bundle together. We'd get sick for a couple of days, and then we'd all be better. I know. So, Mom, thank you for taking good care of this young man.
Thank you. See, Mom, I don't have to wear. She wouldn't let me come to the Patriot Conference unless I was wearing a mask. and she makes me wear a windbreaker even though it's like over 60 degrees outside. It's just weird.
I love mothers.
Yeah.
Mothers, there are many, many mothers fighting for America right now.
He's a crackpot.
And here's the thing. I mean, I thought about it. I thought, I'm probably going to get a lot of hatred for this, but it's not a real gotcha question.
No.
That's actually, not. I thought about this and I thought, because sometimes people are like, it's not fair what you're doing. You're kind of, trapping them into something. It's a gotcha thing. You're finding the dumbest person at the thing. And I'm like, this is a 3-star general in the United States military. He served under presidents. he has some very important qualifications.
Yes.
And I gave him the easiest question you could possibly answer. Let's say he thinks maybe he doesn't believe in COVID. He could have just said, listen to your mother. Right?
Yeah, but he didn't.
No. He said the craziest thing I've ever heard. As he's talking, you see me smiling because I'm like,
yes.
this is good.
You look like a kid in a candy shop.
I was so excited. I was like, he's doing it. He's doing it. I was like, this is the best answer he could possibly give me ever.
You were adorable with your glasses on. Like you kept looking back up at the camera. It was so cute.
I was like, this is the best. I loved it. It was, I tried the glasses and different disguises because enough people know me by now. And it's, after this weekend, there's a realization that I sort of have a shelf life at doing this. There's not,
I have that in
I'm going to have to pivot to something else. That's not, there's not a long career with
I think you're well known on the, this community because like you said, it is a tight knit community and they're like, oh, don't talk to him. He's not really with us. Yeah.
Well, New York City, they all know me whenever they have rallies. They all recognize me. They all just see me coming. It's almost a weird dynamic in New York where we just know each other. And, there's a group of us that there's more than one person that does what I do. And we all show up and they'll tell us when the next one is. Like we had this guy just like, he's like, oh, you're going to go to the next one. We're doing it on the 21st. And sometimes like there's this one guy who's been in a lot of my TikToks who's this crazy old gay Trump supporter. And
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. And the last time I think I was at a anti-vax rally and he just walks up and he's like, I'm bored. Interview me. And his interviews are gold. He just spouts the most amazing nonsense that he firmly believes. It's like he says stuff like how much Trump has helped the LGBTQ community, and it is like patently false. It is it is like wholesale false. Like not just like you can't just twist the media narrative. It's like this is I would show statements from the White House, like their own words. You can't twist that. So,
how can you? Well, a lot of these people. First of all, they don't do their research and they just spew what they hear and. Obviously, it's a lot of false statements and false claims about many things. So going back to the conference, what was the vibe like? Like when you were in there? Were you there watching him speak? Like, were you
I didn't
in
get
that?
to watch him speak. I cut out. I got all the footage I needed for the once I was satisfied, I just reached a point where I was like, all right, I can't. Like I'm good. I did a day and a half. And, the problem is, I have to spend a lot of time with these people at this conference because especially at the VIP one, like we're all there, we're eating, we're drinking. There's things happening and I have to make a lot of chit chat. And so I have to like put on this front, like, yeah, I'm one of you.
Oh, it's exhausting.
And it was actually very funny. So the funny things that happened were, I would just talk, oh, hey, I'm from New York, it feels good to just, be myself around here. And they're like, oh, I can imagine. Right. And, and I'm talking the talk with them. And I broke character with this one time because something about like how they're talking about like how the far left, loves Biden. And I'm like, And I was like, no, listen. The far left hates Biden. Communist, socialists, they despise Biden. They would kill. They like want to, they hate him equally as much as Trump. Probably a little bit more. And they were like, wait, really? And also I was explaining how there was this saying amongst the far left that if you go far enough left, you get your guns back.
Yeah, no extreme is good.
That resonates with them. And it's, listen, if you're watching this and you're a liberal, you're not far left, you're not this, it's important to let them know that distinction, because the big narrative that they push, that all the politicians use to run on, is the left is coming for your guns. They're going to take away your guns. Take away your guns, take away your guns. Whereas, the actual left narrative is that, the nation needs to be fully armed in order to fight the financial elites, in order to, have, for labor to be, it's everything like that, for rights and everything. So, it's for different reasons. I think, there are people on the left that love guns and they see the value in it. They just don't go around talking shit the same way, to be honest. And so I see, and it was important. It opened their eyes. And the funny thing is, like, I would tell them this, and it was like, how do you know? And I'm like, I'm from New York. I was like, I'm from because I was from New York, it was authoritative. It was like, oh, of course. Well, it was
acceptable.
So it was that. And I think what's important, it made me realize something, that we communicate as liberals, progressives, leftists, we communicate our views. And I think we need to bundle our views inside of our values. I mean, and it was like a light bulb thing where it was like, values. Like, of course, values. It's about values. Duh. Like, I mean, remember W when he won the re-election against John Kerry, and the exit polling showed family values as an important characteristic. And it's values. And I think and they don't think we have values. And I sort of don't blame them, given that they only hear our views. They don't hear our values. And I think in speaking with someone on, that's, in opposition to you, is you need to explain your values. I think there's a lot of, progressives right now thinking like, well, we need to sort of build some coalition and talk to them and, sort of see where they're coming from, and maybe sort of move to the center a little bit, which I'm like, no. But I think what it is they don't know anything about us. They really don't.
Well, I think on both sides, we don't care to learn about each other, because we have such different views and we're constantly attacking each other, that it's because we're so different that, I don't know. Do you hear do you feel me on this? Like, it's when you do try, and I have tried it, like on TikTok, I've, had good conversations with people that came at me and asked questions. They're conservatives. They asked me a question. Some things I agreed with, some things I don't like. That kind of interaction for me is great, but it's rare. It's very rare.
Yeah. And I've sort of, I've had, conversations with people I don't agree with. And, the thing is, I've sort of set certain boundaries when they'll send me certain, like I was having a conversation with someone with regards to Israel and Israel-Palestine, and they were sending me some link from PragerU. And my boundary was, listen, do not expect me to continue this conversation in good faith if you're going to send me something from PragerU, please.
I don't know what that is.
PragerU they're on TikTok, actually. They're awful. They're like, what can I compare them to? I mean, they're like Turning Point USA. They're like OAN. They're awful, and they're not fact based. It's it's extremely editorial,
conspiracy.
Laden. And on top of that, though, like, it's just editorializing. Like, it's just someone making videos talking about how they'll have videos of some former Antifa member talking about how the left are the real fascists. And you're like, like totally bald-faced lie, and like something that's not unsubstantiated, it's not fact-based. It's not, like I could have a conversation with like someone, who's an editor or something at the National Review. That's it's ideologically consistent. We can,
right.
you know what I mean? Like someone at the National Review, it's very, we're talking, they're committed to their ideology, and they're committed to a consistency. They understand the quadrants, stuff like that. But yeah, I've spoken to them enough, and there's things that like they would unite with the left on, because people talk about, oh, let's have unity, and my response is, unity on what?
Exactly.
Right? Like, let's just have unity. Like I was at there was a was it Occupy Wall Street sequel, rally a few months ago, held, in protest of Robinhood and the GameStop fiasco.
Yep.
That was held by the Young Republicans in New York City, and right and left came to that. I was like, okay, well, I'll unite with you. I actually went to that rally to not troll them. I was like, I'll just interview you straight.
Yeah.
Like, let's see where we agree.
Where your commonality is, right?
Yeah. And so it's like, oh, you want to take on the financial elites. And those people that came to that generally were like, all right, let's unite on this one issue. The people that were very divisive that came there were the hardcore Trumpers. Like the people that came wearing MAGA, they were like, let's only look at the people on the Democrat side whose fault this is, which is like, no, like there's plenty of people to point the finger at on, left and right, so yeah, it's, there's a certain thing, like I'm happy I have plenty of good faith conversations with people I don't agree with, and
and same. Yeah. And I think there's something to be said about, I say this all the time, that the Republican Party has splintered. We now have this growth that came from the Republican Party that is now the Trumplican Party. And they have a different mindset, in my opinion. They have a completely different mindset than your middle of the road Republican.
Yeah, but here's the funny thing. So like, I feel like there's a language to speak to them in. So, if you were to,
is it lizard?
It is lizard. So, I mean, they're they pride themselves on being civic nationalists, which civic nationalism starts to become ethno-nationalism. I mean, when you get into it, really, like, it's they don't say I'm an ethnic nationalist. They just say I'm a civic nationalist. It's civic nationalism.
It's the verbiage.
And they pride themselves on that. And it's like, no one thinks they're a white supremacist. No one says they're a white supremacist. But, I feel like if you were to push some of these sort of socialist policies, in the language of nationalism, that wouldn't be, like to offer services for people that work in the public sector, even, and have that be the military. And it would, it's, because these people would support things, they think when, they revere the military, those are patriotic values. And it's like, if you said, well, people that are in the military need to get, healthcare for the rest of their lives, and access to housing and food for the rest of their lives, and mental health aftercare. And it might
resonate with them more.
They have no problem getting on board with that. They have no problem getting on board with someone that is, serving their country and so forth. So, they get it, in terms of that. They would support, a wealth tax for the billionaires. They would support legislation that, cuts the teeth out of the big pharma.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. There are a lot of other creators that I have heard say this, and that is that the Democrats word things wrong. They word them wrong, like critical race theory. They're like, they should name it that. Things like you're talking about, if it was named differently, it might have a bigger impact. It sounds ridiculous, but it's almost like packaging, I guess, if you will.
Well, critical race theory is that's just a great recruiting tool and radicalization tool. It's like using transgender is a great tool for radicalization. There's, it's one of those things they can latch onto it and just go. And I mean, but the problem, well, I think the problem is this, is that, you know, we hear critical race theory. We're like, sure, you want to teach it, whatever, fine. Most of us, I didn't really hear about it until I learned about its opposition. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't have kids. My kids,
Yeah.
you know, I don't have kids that are being taught this in school. So, you know, so I came late to the party, and I feel like that is representative of most of us. I feel like the problem is that none of us know what their messaging is until it reaches the mainstream. So, you know, like with anti-vax stuff, it's until, you know, child trafficking, Pizzagate, you know, until it reaches the mainstream, none of us know about it.
Yeah,
It's
true.
And it's, you know, they say we're in this, like, you know, liberal echo chamber with the media. They're right in the sense that we don't know their messaging, like which is awful messaging, until it's become, you know, so widespread. So, you know, there's such an opposition to critical race theory.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I think that having the media at the like at our fingertips at all times can be good, and it can be bad. Like there are pros and cons to it.
Well, I also think, like,
opinion.
I mean, it gets deeper, I think, because there's a problem, like, you know, a lot of people see my work as very journalistic, and they come to me for news, which is frightening. And, you know, I'm a comedian, and like you know, I mean, people normally go to the Daily Show for their news.
Yeah.
They go to late night, you know, Jimmy Kimmel for the news. And it bothered me for a while. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with all of you? Like, I'm glad that all of you follow me and support me, but God damn it. And, you know, but then you look at, we don't have the same number of reporters that we used to have 10 years ago, 20 years ago. That's dwindling. So as a result, you have, I think most places are just, they're vlogging. Most of these network news, I call it just vlogging.
Yeah.
They're doing what you and I do. They're, you know, it's just like, but they just have more money, you know, and so I feel like there's nothing investigative. And, you know, you see, like, I mean, as someone who's been in the news, like, I've seen that same news story about me cut and pasted to 5 different publications, and there's no real, you know, so, and it's like, we sort of have to, like, police ourselves in terms of, like, when news drops, and if it's, you know, if it's true, not true, PolitiFact true. So, yeah. And you know, I mean, I think one of my videos, I got this guy to agree that the Fairness in Media Act needs to be reinstated.
Fairness in Media. I saw that one.
Yeah.
Was that at the conference you were just
at? The conference. So
I wish I had downloaded that video.
I had this crazy video. I had this crazy conversation with these people. So I was trying to stay on the periphery and not go deep into it, because it just, I was like, you know, when I'm deep in, the first nights, people spotted me and they're like, something's off about you. I don't get it. Like, why do you have a microphone? And, you know, who are you with? And so I was just trying to stay. You know, so I had this long conversation with these Trump supporters. And I mean, you know, the problem is, like, you know, we're nice, pleasant, you know, they just believe in sane things, right? So this one guy, you know, I'm explaining how, you know, we're talking about the Fairness in Media Act. And the thing is, they hate Fox News just as much as us. They don't trust it. They call it the liberal media. And they, you know, so he was agreeing that, you know, Fox News is only allowed to flourish because of the Fairness in Media Act, because that was dropped.
Right.
And then
they're deemed entertainment, correct?
Yeah. And then so also, I talked about January 6th. I think I released that video. So on January, so, you know, because I kept saying to everyone there, I said, hey, they talked about January 6th. It's all a big hoax, right? Antifa did it, all right. And I just leaned in. I was like, you know what? I want to see an investigation. They're like, really? I said, yeah. You know, these rhinos. I was like, you know,
I have it. I think I have that one.
Yeah.
I
was like, if Antifa did this, you know, I want to see it. You know, like, I want a full investigation. I want to know how many Antifa.
I think I have that one. Is it the guy in the red shirt? I want to go ahead and show it's the Antifa one. Let's go ahead and take a look at that.
At Capitol Hill on January 6th?
Yes.
So was I. Yeah, I was on the steps. It was pretty cool.
Oh, it was a great time there. Yeah. Well, my wife used to work there. You know, I love it there.
I saw a lot of the drama going on, and it was clearly Antifa. But
the same guy, he was here. He was at a Republican thing. He was at a Democratic thing. He was at another Democratic thing. He was at a Republican thing. And it's the same guy that was at all four of them.
That's why I don't understand these rhinos that are blocking an investigation into it. Because I'm like, I want to get to the bottom of this and know that let's get to the bottom of it and know that it was Antifa, right?
Give me the facts. That's what I want.
Exactly.
The rest of it, I don't want to hear the fluff.
It was clearly Antifa. Let's open an investigation and see how many Antifa members there were.
Oh yeah, look at it. You won't see it on TV, okay, on the boom box or the stupid box as they call it. Right? You can't get the facts off of TV. There's no such thing as news anymore. I think it's a federal law or something now. That's entertainment, okay? TV is entertainment.
Well, yeah, they need to bring back the Fairness in Media Act.
Oh yeah. They got rid of that, and actually I think it was Fox that went to the Supreme Court and had that change.
Yeah, the only reason Fox News is allowed to flourish is because they got rid of the Fairness in Media Act.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So where do you go to get your news?
Everywhere.
So where do you go to get your news? Everywhere.
Oh, everywhere, right? Yeah. Everywhere.
I mean, how do you keep a straight face? There's no way I could. Some of the things that they say, that you completely catch them being hypocritical of themselves. Like you're getting them to admit things that
with the vaccine.
You're like a god when it comes to that.
Like the vaccine. The vaccine was the best. Where I'm like, they're like, the vaccine one. I love that one. That's an easy one. Where I talk about how Trump doesn't get enough credit for the vaccine, and of course they're like, oh. He does not get enough credit. He's, because he's a businessman. He really.
Will you get the vaccine? No.
Nope. Nope. I've done this enough times where because at first I thought, let me just, be cagey, ask this question, then ask a few more, and then maybe ask it later once they've forgotten. Yeah. And then after a while, I was like, no, let's just ask it in the same breath. They'll say it. And the guy, I mean, if you see that other video he says, yeah, Trump gets credit for the vaccine. It's his thing. And then, are you getting it? Nope. And I feel like it was too rushed. He's like, yeah, it's not FDA approved. And I go, do you think Trump got it? Yep. He died. He's like, Trump definitely got that vaccine. It's like,
I might have that one too, because I have some of your anti-vax. When you went to that. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, did you happen to see the recruitment video from this weekend that they put out? Is very reminiscent of a Nazi recruitment video. Did you see it?
No, I didn't see that.
You want to see it?
Sure, let's see it.
Let's take a look. It is right here.
in some form. Too many of us think it is impossible. Too many think it is unreal. But that is a dangerous, defeatist belief. It leads to the conclusion that we are gripped by forces we cannot control. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for the storm MAGA.
The storm MAGA? JFK's prepare for
exactly. Why were they using JFK in this?
No, but JFK said prepare for the storm MAGA.
That was, they put that in there.
Yeah. I was like, that was like some little slick shit. But I'm like, no, they didn't.
Yeah. Well, it's very chilling to like this is straight up, I mean, save the children. And this is right out of the QAnon handbook. And it's just scary. And I think, you know, with everything that's going on with people saying he's going to be back in office in August and, you know, all this stuff. And you're like, whatever, like not listening to the noise. You guys have been saying this, you keep moving the you know, the date or whatever. But then Vladimir Putin comes out and basically says that the Biden administration, the way that they're handling or like our government, the way that we're handling those insurrectionists is inhumane, that it's a human rights issue now. Like he actually is supporting the insurrectionists and their movement. Hello, what does that tell the people that think they're fighting against a dictatorship and they're actually fighting for one?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, they have. I mean, yeah, and I listened to the rhetoric inside so Saturday was all speakers. So I listened to the speakers. I listened to Louis Gohmert, the congressman. I listened to others, and it's all, you know, they're weaponizing the Holocaust against it. It's all, you know, 1984, they're going to take the guns away. And, you know, and that's it. We got to take the guns away. We have to, you know, it's gulags, it's this, it's, you know, I have that. I mean, I'm still editing all of this footage, but it was like, I sat through some of that on Saturday and I was like, I'm not going to. Oh my God. I was like, so I went out, just saw Dallas, saw some actual Longhorns, which was cool.
Yeah.
Had some great food and came back, got some interviews and all that. And it was, so that was like, but that was like, it's weaponizing the Holocaust. It's all going down. It's, January 6th was a hoax. Matt Gaetz was framed.
They said that January 6th was a hoax.
January 6th, they've got different stories. It's like, it was us, but it was only a few of us.
The rest was Antifa and BLM,
Antifa
right?
Started the violence, because of course Antifa had the most to gain from that. They needed to start violence, on an election they won, right? It was, so that was, it was the election they won. And it was Antifa. They insulted the guy, John Sullivan. There was that guy, because I thought I did some gangster shit on January 6th. The reporter, there was that reporter, he wrote an article in the New Yorker, and he used to be a war correspondent, so he's battle tested,
well versed in that
so
kind
he
of.
Dressed up, rolled with the Proud Boys.
Wow.
And when they started shooting rubber bullets and pepper spray and tear gas at them, he passes out in the bushes for like 15 minutes, wakes up, runs inside. He's the guy who got that footage of the Q shaman and them in the Senate chamber.
Yes. Okay.
He's the guy. I mean, I was like, talk about a fly on the wall. Like, he's recording them. He's right there. And no one's questioning what he's doing. I was like, dude, that's badass. Balls. And so they were, insulting him, and he was, he was of course and so it was, they, and it's funny, I'm sitting there in like the front row while they're trashing him, talking about the infiltrators on January 6th. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't get a fucking mention at all, you sons of bitches.
I was an infiltrator.
I'm like,
when the guy was saying, he's like, well, this guy was at a Democrat thing, this guy was at a Republican thing. I'm like, they're seriously talking about you right now. This guy's talking about you.
Oh, they were on they actually were on high alert for infiltrators. There was a guy there who's an author who was like a big following. I saw him on Twitter.
On January 6th or this past weekend?
This past weekend. Okay. So there was a guy that got thrown out of there, and he got thrown, and they figured him out and they tossed him. So, I mean, I sort of I treaded a bit lightly when I went in there. I changed disguises all the time. This and because they had like a lot of security, because they were ready for someone to just pop off and do something crazy. I mean, because if any normal person trying to infiltrate that didn't know what they were doing would not be able to sit through 5 minutes of them talking without getting an emotional reaction, because it was,
that would be me.
yeah, it'd be nasty, and you'd get tossed quickly.
Yeah.
And it was,
Oh my God. Funny.
but, I did run into All Gas No Brakes.
All Gas No Brakes. Wait, why does that sound familiar? All Gas No Brakes.
He's the guy. He also interviews people. He goes to all those crazy rallies and stuff and interviews people. He's like, he has the long curly hair.
Were you talking with him? Did you put a video up where he was like, I know exactly who you're, he's a younger guy, right?
Yeah, younger guy. He does, his thing is different, where he's a very non-threatening. He's not doing gotcha moments. He's sort of letting people be themselves.
Yeah.
So even if you knew who he was at these rallies, you're not really intimidated by him, because he's not really, he's very like non-threatening energy, very chill. So, and everything, even in speaking to him. But yeah, no, I made a video because people on Reddit were calling me the Wish version of All Gas No Brakes.
Oh, nice. And
I was like, here, let's put this to bed.
Reality versus expectation.
Yeah. And so it was funny. So.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. It just looks like, because when I got in touch with you to do the show, and I was like, these are the dates we're looking at. You're like, yeah, you want me June 3rd, because I have something fun planned the weekend before. Oh man, I couldn't have guessed. I'm like, oh, this is going to be off.
Yeah, I was kind of remiss to like tell people about it. I mean, people were complaining. They're like, dude, I was in town. Like, why didn't you? If you're in Dallas, why didn't you hit me up? And I was like, I didn't really want to announce this.
No.
I was like,
why would you do that? You can't. Yeah. So it's funny. We were just talking about how your shelf life, because people are they know that you can only put on so many disguises. You're going to have to put on like a Groucho Marx, like
Karl Marx. Yeah.
Yeah. Groucho Marx.
Groucho
Marx.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so great. And I was thinking about that too, because there was the guy, and I can't remember, I think he worked for the Colbert Show or for the Daily Show, and he would go out, he would go to the rallies and stuff, and he would interview people, and he was so awesome. And he would catch them in these.
Jordan Klepper.
Yes. Jordan Klepper.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen him lately. Is he still doing stuff? Because everybody knows who he is now.
Well, I feel like everyone knows who he was then. I mean, he's well enough known, and he's rolling there with a big crew that attracts attention. I feel like I give him some credit, because when people are talking to him, they're already on guard.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
They're already like, their antennas up, because the thing is with these people is that they don't trust any media at all. And if they see like a very professional camera setup, they're like, well, there's money behind this. There must be. They're like, I mean, rightfully so. They're just like, all right, someone's here to make us look like white supremacists and embarrass us and humiliate us. So he doesn't. Yeah. I mean, I give Jordan Klepper credit for. I mean, he's been at all the exact same rallies, and I've also seen his evolution, where you started to see him at the beginning of going to these things where he would just get very temperamental. But you can see him, he didn't lose his temper, but you can see him about to, just being like, it's in his voice where he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? When, when they would say this stuff about Obama, and he's like, this is like this, you could find this is not true. And very quickly, like, this is, and he's like, ugh. And then towards the end, I guess January 6th, he's just like, sure, whatever. Yeah. Okay, you're an idiot.
He was burned out. He's just like, he probably saw it all, experienced it all, heard it all.
He was just like,
oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So you went to an anti-vax rally. Was that in New York City, or was that in and around?
It was in New York City. They don't call them anti-vax rallies. They call them freedom rallies. So if you see an advertisement for a worldwide freedom rally, if it has the word freedom in it, they're going to talk about vaccines, and they're very slick about it. They don't call themselves anti-vax. Okay. They're not against vaccines. They're not against vaccines. They're not against all vaccines. They're not against, there's some vaccines that are good. They're very slick with their wording, but, they used to talk about the Barrington Declaration, which is bullshit. And it's part of my thing of there's not enough of a counter message. You and I are not medical professionals. Like when they talk about how there's mercury in something, you can't explain how it's like trace amounts and it's non-lethal. You can't, talk about why, the cyanide. You could, a doctor or some medical professional could be like, well, yeah, there's cyanide in apples, but it's the same trace amounts that you find in vaccines. It's not doing anything. They could explain why and whatever. But, that's the problem is you don't have enough doctors. I mean, was it Christina, the nurse practitioner? She does a lot of that counter messaging.
Well, also, I just had epidemiologist Kat on last week on the Nikki and Ryan show. And that was like very insightful. And it was like, she's a professional. She knows what she's talking about. And that's where people should be getting their information, not from Joe Schmo down the road that watched National Geographic 3 years ago. Like it's ridiculous.
I think that's the problem is like, there's one interview that I haven't posted yet from that rally. And it's with this woman. She's telling me she's referencing this, this woman who's done, amazing research. And she says, she approaches it, she's a fine arts major and she approaches it, with the dedication of from a point of view of a fine arts major. And I was just like, she knew who I was. She knew I was totally messing with her. And I was like, she's a fine arts major. I was like, this is the problem. You have people that are not qualified. And they're analyzing medical data. So you take medical data and you're like, well, this means this. And any medical professional that actually could be like, no, that is not what that means. That is not what that means at all. It's not even like a little bit. And, and that's the problem. Like VAERS, the vaccine reporting system VAERS. So I could call into the VAERS and report that someone died from, my grandmother died from the vaccine, and it's not, then of course it gets corroborated, but just what's reported, so they'll tell you, well, 100,000 people have died from this already. And you're like, well, look it up, and you look it up and they'll show you the statistics of VAERS, and that's 100,000 people reporting that there was. There's
that's not the reporting after the corroboration. Like
it's not corroborated. Like anyone can report it. And that's the problem.
That's dangerous.
You take like the smallest, you take like any number, like 10 people, died after getting the, AstraZeneca Johnson Johnson shot in Spain. And it's like, well, and then it's, and they're claiming that the doctors that are actually expressing doubt and concern, their voices are being suppressed, by big pharma, by the government, by everything.
That's nuts. Well, I wanted to show people a funny interlude you had with a guy at the anti-vax rally. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Let's do that.
So are you anti-vaccine?
Yes. I'm not anti-vaccine. I've been vaccinated against, I've been vaccinated.
This is what vaccines do.
Sorry.
It gives you amnesia. Exactly. He can't even remember what he's been vaccinated against.
No, I can't. Rabies. It was rabies.
You were vaccinated against?
I was bit by a raccoon, and I got vaccinated against rabies. I was camping, and I got bit by a raccoon. It was awesome.
Yeah, so he just happened to get bit by a raccoon, and suddenly the doctors are like, oh, we have a vaccine for that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Talk to Leland, the shirtless guy. He'll tell you everything you want.
Talk to the shirtless guy. He'll tell me everything.
Leland. Yeah, he's awesome.
Find the shirtless man. Where's the shirtless man?
Yeah.
I saw that one. I'm like, we have to show that. Like rabies.
Rabies.
I don't think they got it all. I don't think they.
It was. And it was.
Oh my God, dude! I've seen this guy before. Have you interviewed him before? I have seen him somewhere else. This crazy guy.
I don't know. I don't think I interviewed him before, but
God, I mean,
and
you must have been dying laughing inside.
Oh, so I went there with Quentin
Tillery?
Quarantino.
Yeah.
No, Quentin Quarantino on
Oh.
he has that huge Instagram account. You should follow him on Instagram. He's huge.
What is
account.
it? Quentin,
it's like Quentin Tarantino, but just Quarantino. He started it at
Quarantino.
He started at the beginning of quarantine, at the beginning of
That's
lockdown.
Hilarious.
And
okay.
he's the guy who raised when Rush Limbaugh died.
Yeah.
He started that huge $1 million donation drive. It's reached like $1.2 million to Planned Parenthood in Rush Limbaugh's name.
Yes.
There's a special, like there's like a wing of Planned Parenthood named after Rush Limbaugh now.
That's awesome.
You know, because of and that's to make that his legacy. He raised $1.5 million for India relief recently. Nice. So he's done a lot. And so I hit him up and I was like, do you want to come? And he's like, dude, this is amazing. And he could not keep a straight face. He was falling. I was like, all you got to do is just hold the camera. It's, I'm going to keep it on a tripod, just make sure I'm in frame and and just enjoy the fun. And it was, we were like falling over laughing because I told him, I was like, for like 20 minutes, I'm going to go there and just pretend to be one of them.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time, we're just going to be openly mocking them. And that's
and these people knew who you were, a lot of them, right?
Yeah, a lot of them know who I am, and they definitely all know who I am now. I wasn't wearing a mask before. I put the mask on to piss them off, and that's why I had the CNN mic.
Yeah,
because I like using the CNN mic because they run up screaming at me.
Oh my god!
Because it's great because I'm like, I don't have to really. They just come up to me out of pure anger. And just start yelling, and I'm like, this is great. So that was why, I had like the CNN thing. I mean, I did that because when they start talking, they're already, like that kid. That kid, for the record, was like a very nice kid, but I was just like, oh my god. I was like,
that rabies shot did something.
The rabies thing. I was like, like of all the things to tell me he got vaccinated, rabies, and I'm like. And then, in the end, he gave it. I was leaving, and he's like, "Oh, that was like later on." As I was leaving, he's like, "Wait, talk to the shirt." And I was like, and I thought to myself, I will never find a better comedic partner. Like I said, like there's no, because with comedy, with improv, you have to work at the top of your intelligence.
Yeah, and
you have to he said, "Talk to the shirtless man. I'll tell you everything." And I repeated it like. Talk to the shirtless man. He'll tell me. And he doubled. He said it more. He's like, yeah, the shirtless guy. He's going to tell me. He's going to tell you everything you need to know.
Oh my gosh.
You're like, this is good.
It's like the Matrix.
Oh yeah. But the one thing that actually is upsetting about the anti-vax rallies is, I wasn't shocked that with the thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And there was that woman in Nashville who had owned the store.
You're talking about how she compared it to the Holocaust.
Yeah, and then the gold star that the Jews used to wear.
Yep.
So they all do that at the rallies. They all weaponize the Holocaust against vaccines. The rally I attended previous to this, there was a supposedly a Holocaust survivor there speaking, and said it has a direct comparison to Nazi Germany. She said, I lived under Nazi Germany, and this is the same thing, which is like a gross thing. I was like, this is like.
How old was this person?
I kept wondering about that. I was like, how old do you have to? I was like, how old did you have?
World War I or World War II was in like the late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, like for her to have actual consciousness of what happened,
she'd have to be damn near 80.
She'd have to
be
like
even she would have to be in her 80s because in order to have a cognitive memory of it. How old did she look?
I can't even remember because I was so just incensed by her speaking that I could not concentrate because it wasn't until like an hour or two later that I was like, wait, how old is this person? Like, and also like the thing of like, normally when someone says they're a Holocaust survivor, like my first instinct is not to challenge them and say like, did you really? Like, I don't think, I don't tend to go around, denying, Holocaust events.
But you can use deductive reasoning and be like, what are you, 60? Then how can you be? How can you be?
Well, just, us interrupting her and causing a commotion at that thing, people were yelling at us. They were like, you just interrupted a Holocaust survivor. Show some respect. And it was like, I was like, I have respect for what the Jews went through. I don't have respect for someone weaponizing this against vaccines. Like this isn't, and I feel like the problem with this is like people keep weaponizing the Holocaust against everything. And it's sort of this thing of you're just desensitizing, because then when there's an actual real issue of people being marginalized, it's not, we've sort of been desensitized to it. And that's sort of upsetting to me, in general.
It is upsetting for sure. Okay, so I want to move on to some personal questions, because everybody knows your work. They know you're an amazing creator. You get out there, you're on the front lines out there, and we so appreciate it, because you bring not just knowledge, like to get the insight as to how these people think, but also you bring it with humor. So a lot of people thank you for that. You work really hard to achieve it, and it shows. So, but now we want to know more about Walter. What makes Walter tick? Okay, you ready? Now, Walter has no idea the questions I'm going to ask him.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, so what were you like as a kid?
Oh, I was a literal troublemaker. Like there was nothing redeeming about me. I sucked. I was, very hyperactive. Like my MO was let's start trouble. Like I was I was a literal troublemaker. I was, part of the reason I'm so sympathetic to Black Lives Matter is because I've been through the criminal justice system. I was also poetic. I wrote poetry. Carried around a notebook and I wrote poetry in it.
Sounds like you had a lot of energy that you needed to give off, and it kind of maybe sometimes got turned into something not so positive.
No, not really.
So what advice would you give your younger self today?
Oh, wow. I mean, I've been sober for like over a decade. I probably would have, ended that a bit sooner, since it was like, one of those things that kind of caused me a lot of damage, that took years to recover from. So,
okay.
So,
so you would tell yourself, don't do drugs, don't drink.
Or I would have been like, but like, you're going to quit, when you're, in a few years, you're going to quit at a very young age. You should probably quit sooner. And, I mean, not that I would have listened. I was a very stubborn person,
You've been like, fuck you, Walter. I'll do what I want.
And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I also wish I had known about patriarchy, toxic masculinity, things like that. And, whereas it wasn't until I got into acting that I discovered a range of emotions. It's like this toxic male. The only emotion that you're allowed to really express is anger. And so so that's, you're not. And then when I got into acting, it was like, oh wait, there's so many other
range.
Yeah. I was like, well, because that's all it would come out as, you're this toxic male, you're walking around. It's like, well, you're anxious, you're sad, you're this, that's just going to be anger. It's just anger.
It's just anger. That's the only emotion. So speaking of acting, how long have you been acting for?
Like a while, since 18 years, something like that.
Wow. Okay. So what was the biggest gig you landed?
I was the first audition I ever went on. It was with this, I did a movie called LIE. It was the first audition I ever went on. I literally just started acting. I was really young. I even lied about my age and said I was younger. And
that's the name of the film.
The movie's called LIE. It was directed by the guy who started the show Dexter. And he also started the show Homeland. Yeah. And then was it what else? So the lead actor in it is this kid Paul Dano. He's
sounds familiar.
Yeah, you've seen him in everything. And the other guy in it is Brian Cox. He's the the patriarch in Succession.
Mm.
You ever watch?
I'm not
You never watched
familiar.
Succession?
Mm-mm.
He's also, I mean, he's been in like, he's one of those guys. When you see his face, you'll be like, oh, he's that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a Scottish actor. You're like, he's been in like literally everything under the sun. He's played a lot of supporting roles, and now he's finally getting his due recently with Succession as like a leading actor, which you know, it's long overdue. They went on, you know, to, you know, do like incredible things and have these incredible careers.
Yeah.
So yeah, and stuff. So, you know,
have you been going to any auditions?
There are auditions there. It's weird. It's like a lot of self tapes now because of COVID. They have these little virtual things. I'd honestly much rather just go to a goddamn audition and, you know, and just, I'd like that to be back and doing the things. So it's interesting. I mean, that's how I sort of got on TikTok, you know, I didn't want to really get into the social media thing because I was like, oh, well, I don't want to take away from, you know, really hustling and grinding out a career and stuff. And then when COVID hit, I was like, well, there's nothing to do, you know, like just do this thing, you know.
Aren't you glad you did though? Because you're huge.
It's weird. I was like, it was it's sort of weird. Like, I mean, 2020, like it was, you know, it's like that best of times, worst of times thing where like, you know, I started to become famous, you know, and it was a year where like fame hit, things happened, and I quit my day job. But at the same time, like, I mean, there was this year of just intense anxiety, but collective anxiety.
Yep, absolutely. And so you got your blue check mark on Instagram. That's awesome. Now, I heard that if you get a blue check mark on any of your platforms, you can apply on other platforms, like your other platforms.
I already got nagged a few months ago by TikTok.
And you got what?
I got rejected when I applied. So,
but did you have the blue check mark on Instagram already?
Try it. I should try that. Yeah.
You have to, because if they'll see if you are verified on Instagram, they should now verify you on Twitter and on TikTok. I think you should do that as soon as we get off this call.
The funny thing is that everyone kept asking me if I had some special, you know, at Instagram, Facebook. And then, but the actual story is some girl that I'm friends with said, oh, you should apply for verification and you can apply in the app. And I was like, and I literally did it just to shut her up.
Yeah.
I was like, great. Thanks. Fuck off. And then like it was on a Saturday night that I applied. I was just like, whatever. Like I'll do it. Just shut the fuck up. Sunday morning, early afternoon, I was like, and it's a weird.
Did you thank her? You should have thanked her.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I did. But it's a funny thing because like, it's like it means everything and nothing at the same time.
It does.
It's a really cool thing to show people, being like, hey, look at me.
Yeah, look at me. I got the blue check mark.
You know, I can leave a comment and people will notice it if I comment on someone's thing, and then people are like, oh, you know, suddenly that like stands out amongst 1,000 comments.
Did you gain more followers upon getting your check mark?
You
don't really pay attention, do you?
No, I pay attention. I check it all the time.
Oh, you do?
Because there was some brand deal that I'd gotten that like they called me and said, well, you know, there's these tiers, and once you get 100,000 followers, you know, you can, you know, we'll pay you a bunch more. So, you know, why not just wait and activate this when you're at 100K? And I was like, so then I was like begging friends to share my stuff. I was like, help me. I was like, I'm almost there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like,
that's awesome. I know, right? Money.
I was like, okay, this is cool.
Well, you have people share your shit like left and right. I mean, the progressivists that used to be "We fucking hate Donald Trump," they love you. Do you know those guys that started that? Or
they're really sweet. They're so nice. Yeah. And they've bent over backwards to like platform me, and like I think most of my following is from them. That's awesome. They like reached out and they were like so cool about, you know, send me your stuff, we'll share it. Well, we got your back. Like just 100%. They're like, it's this really nice family. They're, you know, people say it's like some Australia owned company that runs it. They're American and stuff. So yeah,
that's awesome. I always tag them on stuff, and I did have DL Hughley repost one of my things, which was really cool. Yeah, that was pretty groovy. That was like the big thing. That, and then Rosie O'Donnell followed me on TikTok. Those are my two flexes.
You know, that is the funny thing. Like sometimes I try and look to see, like, I was like, who's famous that follow? You ever do that?
Oh, Jim O'Hare follows me too, and he's awesome. He actually, Jim O'Hare from Parks and Rec.
Oh, nice.
So he actually DM'd me. I had no idea he was following me. He's like, I love your stuff. He wrote this long thing. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It was so cool.
No, that's awesome. Where I was like, you know, because I'll you know, I do it like, I'll have friends be like, you know, someone will like my post and it just says so and so, and they'll be like, so and so just liked your post, and I'm like, oh cool. Like, and then of course I'm like, wait, who is this? You know, there's some people I had to look up. There's this one celebrity which I didn't know who they were, and then like someone's like, you know, this person follows you. Like that's pretty cool. And I go, oh well, maybe I should start a dialogue. And I click message, and we had been talking for months just normally.
Who is
and
it?
I was like, what? I can't. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to admit.
Oh,
that
okay. Oh my God.
But it was like, I was sort of like, oh, like I've been talking to you like a normal human, but
that's so cool.
Yeah, it is like it is comical when someone that happens. When I'm like, oh well, look at me. Especially on TikTok. You know, TikTok, you're just like, you know, I can't find out on TikTok because it doesn't say.
Yeah, you have to like scroll through all the people that follow you to. It's too hard. I can't. It's just too much. It's too much.
I thought about like paying someone $50, be like, scroll through, find someone.
Here's $50. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, just you know, something like, I don't know, saying you know, paying someone in a, you know, underdeveloped country.
I actually was shameless the other day. You know, I love my Sammy. So somebody started following me, that huge account, and I don't know what their name is, and Samuel L. Jackson follows them. I was like, oh, this is a sign. So I DM'd Samuel L. Jackson, and I'm like, reasons why you should follow me back. And I was like, well, first of all, you're in most of my videos. And I showed a picture of me like with him in the background. It was totally shameless. I haven't heard anything. So if you know anybody that knows Samuel L. Jackson, put a good word in for me.
Yeah, I'd imagine. I mean, some people I'm imagining just have staff that are doing all of this for them and stuff.
Absolutely.
I've got to imagine that, you know, the Will Smith, Samuel L. Jackson, you know, A-list level, like, you know, I mean, I would hope that they're not, you know, doing this themselves.
Yeah. You know, well, the only big time person that really did things themselves, wouldn't let them touch their phone, was Trump. And now he doesn't have a platform.
No, he got it back.
What?
He has his Instagram account back. Instagram and Facebook.
Oh my God.
He got it back yesterday.
What are they thinking? Oh my God.
Yeah, and it was kind of just some little traumatizing to see, because his last post was January 5th saying, you know, come to this rally. And you're like, and you know, and I was like, dude, fuck you.
Oh my God. It's been so nice not having him on social media. I used to love to troll him, but I'd rather he not be on. He just, I think like false information was cut by 70% when they took his platforms away.
Yeah. And that's all they talk about is the censorship by the big tech censorship, which is, I mean, there's something to be said about that, you know, but it's like, because after January 6th, they bore down really harshly on all of these platforms. Like I've gotten, you know, there was one a few months ago, I woke up and I didn't want to get out of bed because it was like every platform I had been banned on. I'd been banned on TikTok, restricted on you know, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And I was like, dude, like you just hamstrung me like this. And then
because it has a like a domino effect. So people like us that are in the media, we got hit. We noticed a difference in our accounts. I know you did.
Yeah, I got my account banned twice by TikTok.
Yeah, I remember.
It was there were actual TikTok partners that have like huge actual like real partnership deals with TikTok that were demonetized and banned. And they're like, how am I getting banned? Like Melissa Ong, Chunky is Dead. She's like an actual TikTok partner. And
Weird.
she was making a video being like,
there was a stretch in time where a ton of creators got banned, like you, Jolly Good Ginger, Ryan got banned. God, who else?
I mean, I have
Redneck Papa.
I have my opinions on that. There's the people that got me banned the last time were progressives.
Really?
And it was, yeah. Remember that time when I was at a rally and this girl that was this black girl?
Yeah.
She was, as a political statement, she was wearing blackface.
Yeah.
She's a black girl wearing blackface at a rally making a statement. She's a Black Lives Matter activist. And people saw that. And, first they said, well, you're with this girl that's in blackface, what? And I was like, I specifically made a video with her standing next to me being like, this is a black girl. Like, you know what? Like, this isn't a white girl in blackface. Like, calm down. And then, there's people like this. They just doubled down and they were like, you know what? Zoe Saldana couldn't be in blackface. Neither can this bitch. You know what? And I was like, okay, like, fuck off. Like, then I did a live stream to explain this to people. Like, she's a Black Lives Matter. And then she thought it was funny. So she starts playing into it and talking about how she's Polish and that she's not black at all. And she starts like screaming the N-word. And, and then, so my live got banned. My live got banned. Yeah. And then an hour later, my account got banned. And I was like, she's it's crackhead Barney. She's at every rally that I'm at. And so, these are progressives. I think, like we spent the most time insulting conservatives, but I think there is something to be said about, like, I don't want to call it the woke mob but like there's a group of, there's a bunch of people online. They don't really they don't contribute to bail funds. They don't show up to protests. They don't really do anything except call out stuff for being problematic. And, it's like they, everything is this, everything is that. And it's like, and it gets exhausting where, like, there are times when I've actually been in the wrong about something. Like I say something that, it's like, oh, well, don't say this, say that. Like, oh, sure. Like, don't say spirit animal. Someone messaged me and was like, can you not say spirit animal? Like, I was like, and they messaged me in good faith. It was fine. I was like, I get it.
I get people that do that too, that kind of are like, don't say that. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Like we're constantly learning,
and it's not like, and sometimes people like reach out and it's not in good faith, and it's like, and it's just something, whereas I'm like, all right, like, you know what, like do something. Like you're not,
stop being the hall monitor and
like you're not engaged in anything civic, there's
right.
You're not doing anything. You're just calling stuff out for being problematic, which I think makes it harder when there's an actual marginalized group that has, and they're speaking with real concerns, real issues that are systemic going on.
Yeah.
It's part of why I, talk about, we need to learn critical race theory, because I feel like people need to understand, your average liberal needs to know that, there's systemic injustice that is institutional, and it's much worse than, this person say bad thing one time.
Right.
It's
like a part of the system.
I'm not as concerned with someone, that, said something problematic as I am with like an actual institution,
right?
That is, causing widespread harm. So it becomes this thing. Yeah.
So what is your daily motivation to do what you do?
There's the comedy part of it. Like, I like to perform. I like to, it's like, all right, this will be something funny. This will be a thing. And then there's also like, I have my platform. Let me use it, for good. A lot of my content is coming from a place of, anger and frustration. But it's like, so, it's like, all right, like there's an old video of mine where I talk about, where I go to these Trump supporters, I say, we just want people to come here legally, right? And they go, yeah. And I go, yeah. So what do you think about Biden's plan to increase legal, visas, double the amount? And they're like, oh, that's awful.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Video.
And I was like, because it was coming from this, it was like, all right, I know this is bullshit. I'm tired of hearing this they all say this. We just want legal. And I was like,
it was a couple you were talking to.
It was perfect.
It was a MAGA couple. I remember that video. People are crazy.
Stuff like that. And there's just, at the end of the day, I'm like, I've start to try to get away from like stuff that seems journalistic, because, I've realized not only that's not what I am, but I'm also I'm very ill suited to the role of journalism. And people send me stories as if I need to cover it. They're like, you need to cover what's going on in Brazil. And I was like,
that shows you're a good actor.
I was like, okay.
That's funny. So what is your ultimate career goal?
I just want to be an actor full time. That's it. I mean, I'd like for the Daily Show to reach out to me and say, you are like just as talented, if not more talented, than any of the correspondents on our staff. And
that would be nice.
I'd like them to just say that. Let's just start there. Let's just start with you how to do interviews better, with like, because they're always, I see some of them are good. I have respect for some of them. Some of them I'm like, you're not, like you're trying to do a gotcha moment with some Trump supporter, but you don't know. Like, I know how to do a gotcha moment. Like I know the talking points. I know this. You're trying to like change their mind or something, But I want to just be able to be a working actor and do stuff. And
Very cool. Yeah. Well, you're definitely known. So I think your exposure and doing what you've been doing has been very helpful to your career. And I'm hoping that something happens, because something's going to happen, Walter. It's just a matter of time.
I feel, it's like a fun feeling. Like, I feel like the two of us sort of came up together last year.
We did.
I remember you and I were on a live stream with Food Expert.
Yeah.
I remember very clearly. It was like very funny, because I hadn't started going to rallies yet, and everyone's talking about like the Tulsa rally and how they, RSVP'd, and I was screaming on the live stream, being like, let's just go, RSVP and go, let's go, just go. And everyone on the live's looking at me. I remember that. Everyone was like, yeah, Walter, yeah, you do that, crazy person. Like, you go and get yourself killed. And I was like, there's comedy here. Like, it's just, I lament not going to these things. So, the day when I don't go anymore, I lament it, because I was like, the comedy is right there. Yeah. It writes itself. And I'm just like, God damn it.
I remember talking to you about it when you were fresh faced and new to these things, and they didn't know who you were. It was like it was like a gold mine every time you went. Yeah. It was amazing. Like your feet. Oh man. Like, it was, I loved when you went to a rally and you would be like posting your shit like for a few days. I'm like, oh, what's he got today?
Yeah. Like, so cool. And like I would go to like when I do sketch comedy, by myself and with Hillary Clinton. And like, it'll take me like a day, to go out with him and shoot, maybe 2, maybe 3 sketches, and I edit it and stuff like that. Right. And there's writing and planning. Whereas I go to a rally, in 2 to 3 hours, I come back with like 10 to 20 rock solid, interviews that are just solid A+ comedy. And it almost feels like there's like a level of atrophy.
Yeah. So Victor's on my show often. He's in my comment section. Hi, Victor. Wait, isn't he the same guy that was nuts on your show? Now, it wasn't my show. Walter invited me to his show, and it was it was like, what do you call it? Not impromptu.
We were debating. It was a debate. It was a mock debate.
It was a mock debate where you were playing a role. So, Walter, that's how good of an actor you are. So you were I had a lot of comments. They're like, why are you wasting your time with this Trump supporter? I'm like, that's because Walter's good.
I did a show with Victoria Hammett.
Yes. Right? How did that go?
It was, and people bought tickets. It was lovely. I got, made a little bit of money. Yeah. The funny part is that so many of her friends and her family watched it to see her, and they didn't know that I was looking at the text today, because I was texting her about something, and the oldest text was was her saying my mom didn't know you were acting because her mom's a Trump supporter. And I remember falling over laughing. I was like, so I remember like afterwards, her roommate who's like sort of apolitical, like stomped in the room and was like, who the fuck was that? Like, what is this? What is that? Why are you talking to that insane person? And that honestly is the most satisfying thing. I think I want to do more where I like pretend to be a conservative and talk to liberals. Because I actually, there's another video of the guy at that Q conference. He was like, he came there to scream at them, and he was the progressive. And I used the same talking points on him that I use on them. And he was like, this is satire.
He called it right away.
Like I use the exact same talking points because I'm going to edit it when I would like with him saying this is satire, and then I'm going to edit it with me saying it to someone else, and then being like, "Yep, of course." And
got it right away.
That is actually so satisfying. It's like in this perverse satisfaction that the person is just steaming because they're like, "God damn this! Like, God damn it!" Like
I had many of those people on my page saying, like, what is going on right now?
And I remember that, like, what I had said on we had that debate was absurd. I talked about how my company hired a black person.
Yes.
And you were like, you knew I was kidding, but you were like, what? How is that not racist? You're like, yes, I hired one. I didn't tell the rest of my employees, but I mean, you know, he's there working in the back office. And you're like,
But you're like, I hired one.
I think I should do more of that. Where
It's fun. It's fun to like, because I have never acted before. So like in doing that, it's fun because playing a role, you know, I do have to act a lot of times when I'm on TikTok or making my videos, and because you cut and then it's, you know, and then you go back to it. Then sometimes I'm just like so fueled up that it's not acting. It's just my emotions, you know, that get the better of me.
Yeah.
But
you know, what I want to do now is I want to start. I interviewed a guy the other day who's running for New York City comptroller, and he has a very progressive platform. I like him. And so I've been trying to interview. I got him to agree to the interview. And thank you, Karen. And so he, this guy, Zach Iskol, he's one of the newest things on my TikTok. Zach, Z-A-C-C, Z-A-C-H.
Okay.
I-S-C-O-L. He's one of the newest videos on my
I'll check him
TikTok
out.
and my Instagram. And I did an interview with him where I just trolled him. And he thought it was I play the conservative and he's the straight person. And I want to do more. If there's anyone watching this that has connections to politicians anywhere in the United States.
Ryan and I actually, we're going to be having Marcus Flowers on. He's running against Marjorie Taylor Greene in the 14th district. We're having him on our show on the 21st of June. So we're trying to get more politicians on our show to give them our platform to use to, like, you know, get money donations and give their message. We're like, there's Ryan right now. So
hey, Ryan,
so we're super stoked, and he's actually running. Ryan's running in his state. So as
for local,
I think Ryan, you're running for state, for a state congressman, I believe. No, I'm super excited for him. But yeah, so you mean like Republican politicians?
Well, both. But I mean, I think what was cool is what I can do is like a Marcus Flowers, I can platform him.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, congratulations,
absolutely.
Ryan. Yeah. So let's get Ryan elected. But
definitely.
So I figured I have a big platform, and I thought it's a cool way to get this out, get the word out in like a very fun medium. Like I'm being comedic. There's this. So if you look at the recent video with Zach, who's running for New York City comptroller, like he's the comptroller audits state, city agencies, right? So he's telling me what comptroller does, and I was like, that sounds like big government overreach to me. And he's like, and then if you look at it, he's like, he actually looks at the camera like, what the fuck is wrong with this person? Like, And then he goes, and then he's like, well, no, it's the opposite of that. I'm auditing. And I'm like, we want to keep big government out of our government. And he like just pauses because he's like, what is your problem? What is wrong with you? And then he's like, to his credit, he goes, you know what? I can't think of a better way to describe my job than what you just said. He goes, yes, I'm governing the government. I'm keeping
governing the government.
He's like, that's exactly what I'm doing. And in my character, I'm like, oh, you're using big government to get rid of big government. Right. And so
Brilliant.
I think it's also educational, like someone who doesn't know what a comptroller does. Like the average person doesn't know what the fuck a comptroller does.
Yeah. Right.
None of us had a civics education in class in school. So we're like, so someone will watch that and be like, oh, that's what the comptroller does. Oh. And then I think also the fact that he sort of stood his own and was quick on his feet actually speaks to, him as a, candidate.
Yeah.
So I thought, and he loved the video. I said, that I sent him. He was like, this is the best thing ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I pushed it out and, got tons of hits on it. Like, people are like, okay, yeah, this is the dude. I'm coming up with more where he's explaining ranked choice voting, and I'm just turning it into a conspiracy, a Democratic conspiracy. You'll see it. I'm editing it right now.
Yeah,
I was editing it right before I got on the call with you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Okay, so I have two more questions that I want to ask you. Do you believe in aliens?
Well, didn't the government say like, yeah, aliens, they exist in the middle of COVID, and none of us cared. We were
all like, hey, it's 2020, anything's possible.
We were like, yeah, whatever. Like we were so angry, anxious, just upset at everything, and just and it was weird. If you had said that 5-10 years ago, there would have been this collective uproar of everyone like, whoa. When the government was in so much trouble, and they've said it twice. They've said it multiple times.
Yeah.
So
I totally believe in aliens.
Yeah.
I think the simple fact that humans are so egotistical to think that we're the most intelligent beings in this entire existence, like that's a bit egotistical, in my opinion. But that's what I think. But okay,
I don't think it's controversial anymore to believe in aliens.
No, I don't think so either. Okay, so last question, if you could interview anyone at all, who would it be and why?
Ooh, right now, I mean, besides like being able to troll the president of the United States, but like that aside, I really would love to interview in character Marjorie Taylor Greene or AOC. I think AOC, I would lean more towards AOC because I think AOC.
While you're in character or not while you're in character?
Oh. Because I think her like responses would be quick-witted and just would like, because that's what I want to start doing is interviewing a progressive that can just really shut me down.
Yeah.
Like none of that.
Gotcha.
Like just that'll like, I'll come up with my conspiracy and they'll just like, what I mean?
Yeah.
This is what she does all day. She knows her talking points.
Yeah.
She definitely knows their insanity ice cold. So she could just go like right there and just nail someone like that. And just, obviously I would love ideally for them first, like an AOC to not know that I'm kidding. And for her to sort of look around and look at the camera of like, okay, like what did this, like, how do I get out of this interview?
Oh my gosh, that would be so cool. So I have a lot of people that are putting, some suggestions up here for you. You guys ask your questions. While we're doing that, I want to go ahead and push Walter's platforms. You are Walter Masterson across the board. Again, you guys can find it in the description on this show. You can find it all on there as well as all of mine. I do want to make a little bit of a push. It is Pride Month, and we've got our Pride Month candle. Walter, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but 100%, they're $25, 100% goes to, and it smells like Fruit Loops. It smells amazing. to Wix for $25. $17.50 goes to the Transgender Law Center, because the transgender community is really kind of being attacked right now. I think that the funds allocated to that cause is the best cause. So go to summerscandle.com. That's also, you can go to Nikkinoo.com, and there's a link to Nikkinoo.
100%.
I have to pay for like my candle maker, Joe. He has summerscandle.com, and he makes a bunch of candles, and I partnered with him. They're $25, and $17.50 of it goes to, the rest covers the, it barely covers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it goes to the Transgender Law Center.
That's big of Nikki, because you know what? She's got to pay taxes on that. You know, that's the thing I found out with fundraisers, when it's going to you and not the cause. Like, you got to pay taxes. It's like a nightmare with taxes and everything.
Oh God, I didn't even think about that. Shit, because I'm like, he sends me the check, and I give it right to the.
No. I mean, like, you have to figure it out with your accountant.
You know what? If I end up having to pay taxes on it, that's fine. It's for a good cause.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, it's more noble. It's even more noble. It's like this, this money coming out of your pocket on top of it. You're like,
I'm cool with that. I'm good with that.
You got skin in the game.
I got skin in the game, baby. Yeah. I always want to try and pay it forward and do my part, Absolutely. So let's see if anybody has any questions. If you guys have questions, ask them now for Walter. I'm going to like kind of scroll up a little bit and see if anybody has any questions up here. I know a lot of people on here follow you already. Let's see. Yeah, Tones is, I love Tones. She's also on TikTok. She said, I didn't know you were acting for a long time.
Oh my God, that's great. I love it.
Oh, everyone's saying hello. And oh yeah, Kim says this. Go check him out on TikTok. He infuriates Trump rallies and shit, and shows how stupid those people are. It really is gold what you do. It's so awesome. You're like a rare breed. There are not many like you.
Yeah. You know what? I thought I was done after the election. I thought, well, I have to figure out something else, because there's, of course we're going to move on as a nation. Why would we? There's not going to be any more Trump rallies. I got to figure something else out to do. Oh well,
you didn't need to, did you? The craziness continued.
I've trolled more Trump rallies after the election than I did before the election.
These people are insane, honestly. So Karen says, Walter, did you ever watch Lou Grant? You would be a great actor if they ever did a reboot. Would make a great Joe Rossi. Oops. I'm sorry. Let's see. Hold on. Where am I?
The other person asked how do I not flip my shit on them? How do I?
Okay, here's one. Kim says, I think this is, how does Walter do these interviews and not want to, number one, hit them, or two, fall into a depression because people are like,
I know the answer to that. So I don't hit them because I'm going to humiliate them. And so like, I'm a lot more patient, because I'm like, oh, keep talking. This is good. Like, oh, great. Right. They're like, give me everything. Two, it has like, it takes me like a day or two afterwards to sort of be like,
well, I talked to you shortly after, I think it was the January 6th insurrection.
January 6th.
And you were a mess. I mean, like, I was actually worried about you.
I went into therapy. I went on medication. It was a bad scene. Like I walked around for at least 5 days in an absolute fog. I would just stayed in my apartment, like maybe went out to like get a sandwich or something. And I was sort of like I was sort of like, what is happening?
What just happened?
It was the weirdest thing. Like, like I look at my social media and like every number for every platform is like skyrocketing. At the same time, I'm like, skyrocketing because I witnessed a terror attack. Like, and like I'm still editing and releasing these videos of what I got that day. And I was like, this is that
we had Ryan. You were on our show. You were on the Nikki and Ryan experiment right after.
I wasn't in a very like humorous
you were in a bad
mood.
you were hurting. I was worried about you.
And it was weird. Like there were times afterwards where I went into therapy because like I would be walking down the street and like someone normally that like someone would be dressed normally and suddenly like I'd see them wearing a MAGA hat and a shirt and I'd be like, and I'd look again, I'd be like, wait,
dude, that's like PTSD.
Yeah, I was like, and so my therapist told me, she's like, you don't have PTSD, you have trauma from witnessing that on the steps. That's not PTSD. God. She's like, it's trauma that we can deal with and you know, stuff like that. And
so Tone says, I'm usually the one on your live saying, please be safe, Walter.
Thank you.
That's so sweet.
Kathy Griffin tweeted at me and she said, she was like, you need to change your disguise, Walter. And Kathy.
That's awesome.
And I was just like, this is, yeah. And I was like, fair enough.
We need to get you a couple wigs.
They do. They make me very uncomfortable. They're weird. COVID never happened. The election never happened. You know, it's like in an alternate universe. It's bizarre.
And Karen, I agree with Karen on this. She said, I fell in love with you on your daily walks past Trump Tower and with this, you would like your Starbucks coffee.
Oh my God. You know, and that it's funny like that's how I started. And I'm glad that I pivoted because that played itself out.
Yeah. But it was funny. It was funny.
Yeah. Like the first one I did was like, nothing is funnier than that. That was like,
you were like, fuck you.
And then went back to just drinking coffee. And I was like,
like totally.
And that was just born out of necessity where I needed to go. I was on my way to work and I said, well, let me shoot. What can I shoot on my way to work? And so I was like, well, I have my coffee, I have this. So I was like, let me be one of these motivational people that's a little messed up. And then it was like, oh, great idea. Just go by screen, you know, and say, I was like, well, I'm going to talk to the president this morning and then just scream at a building and then go back to this. And it was like, it was born out of, and it just wound up being this like iconic
so awesome
protest.
Oh
the pigeon videos.
The pigeon videos outside Fox News.
Yeah.
Do they still go there? Do you still troll that area? Did they kick you out?
They can't. They gave me boundaries. But that's amazing to watch the pigeons just shit all over. The pigeons like were waiting for me. It's me. I love it.
I love it.
I have a 20-pound bag of birdseed by my door.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love how like deep you're in this because I hate Fox News too. They're awful.
It's
Tucker
so
Carlson is such a piece of shit.
Oh,
he's an awful.
He's worse because he's actually a smart human being. And he knows exactly what he's doing. He's not like a Sean Hannity who's just a fuckwit, you know, or Janine Pirro, like they're just morons. Janine's just a drunk. Tucker Carlson he was an editor for the National Review. You know, he knows exactly what socialism is. He knows exactly what it is not. So he knows better. And so that's why, you know, I have like intense hatred for him. And I keep asking my followers if anyone knows where he eats. I'd love to.
Anybody know where Tucker Carlson eats?
Where do I find him?
Don't tell Walter, just in case.
Anyway, I gotta run to a dinner.
Absolutely. Well, I just wanted to say, Walter, thank you for being on. You are welcome anytime. Let me know if you want to collab at any time. I told my husband, I'm like, I need to figure out where he's going to be next and go meet up with him, go do something fun with you.
Where do you live, by the way?
North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
I
should have hit you up when I went to North Carolina.
You were there?
I was there for the
well, dude, you've got my number. I'll travel to like Virginia, Georgia, Florida.
Yeah, actually, it's probably better that you weren't at the Tommy Lauren event. You would have screamed on them. But yeah. But
awesome. Well, you go enjoy dinner. To everyone out there, my audience, you guys, thank you so much for being here. And I will not be here next week at any capacity. I'm going to the beach. So
enjoy.
I'm taking next week off. Yes. So
fantastic. All right.
Thanks. All right, kiddo.
Bye, always a pleasure, Nikki. And Ryan couldn't be here, but cheers, Ryan.
Oh no, this is my show. This is my show. Ryan's got his own
show.
It's my show. This one's mine.
It's not Ryan.
The Nikkinoo Show.
It's not the Nikkinoo and Ryan show. It's
That's right.
You hear that, Ryan? You fucking asshole.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Good night. Bye.